Hello, thank you for joining me today. This is Dr. Stevens with Integrative Health Haven, and I am talking to you today about detoxification and the liver. For those of you who don't know me, I am a pediatric nurse practitioner by trade, and I started this channel as well as an Instagram page so that I could just put out helpful information to parents, families, individuals that would help them live a healthier life. So I hope that this helps you or someone you know. Comment, let me know topics that you want to hear about in the future, and I'll be sure to make some videos on that. All right, let's get started. So my first video, if you didn't watch it, there's a part 1 to this, and it is my detoxification video talking about toxins and how you can detoxify your life. So this is part 2. This is liver. The liver is important because the liver is literally responsible for detoxifying our body. Okay, so obviously we want to limit what we're putting in it. I'll talk about that in a little bit here, but it is the liver's job to break down toxins. Toxins can include things like prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, alcohol, chemicals, which can be in our food, in our environment, and other harmful substances. So the liver is so important. And then when we think about liver health, we're going to think about what damages the liver as well as what we can do to support the liver or help the liver. So first off, let's talk about damage. So what damages the liver? Well, we've already covered some of that. Drugs, okay? So pharmaceutical drugs, especially things like Tylenol, antibiotics, ibuprofen, statins, which they use to treat cholesterol. There's others, but these are just a few. Now, I don't say this to say if your doctor's prescribed certain things that you shouldn't take them. I encourage you to do your own research and, seek all of the information, seek natural ways of healthcare, but always listen to your doctor and don't take this as medical advice. This is my own opinion, and I'm just putting out information that I hope helps you. Okay, off of that tangent. So one of the problems with the liver is that it can become fatty, and when the liver becomes fatty, it's not as effective in detoxifying us, and this can then lead to cancer and liver failure eventually if it's severe enough. So when you think about fatty liver, there's kind of 2 types that you can think about. Fatty liver from alcoholism, which is pretty self-explanatory. Alcohol is super toxic. Liver has to work very hard to process alcohol, and so when you consume high amounts of that, you can damage your liver and then have alcoholic fatty liver. The other type of fatty liver, which I want to talk a little bit more about, is non-alcoholic fatty liver. And this is a huge, huge problem in the United States, and other places as well, but non-alcoholic fatty liver, the main causes of this are chemical additives in food, hydrogenated oils like canola oil and other vegetable oils, processed sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and a number of other things, but these are just some of the big ones. And then also refined carbs. This is things like bread. And you want to avoid anything, especially like the, white bread, but even the wheat bread, if they say enriched on it, it's probably been refined. And this is very damaging and hard for the liver to process. So all of these things you really want to limit because it makes your liver work harder. And they're all things that you can control. Some things we can't control. If you live in a rental, you can't always control the environment. You can't always control what gets fixed, or if they take the carpet out, or there's just things that you can't control. Sometimes where you work, where your house is, if it's close to a factory, you can't control those things. But these things, what you consume, you can change, okay? So I want you to hear that. This is so, so important, especially as parents. I'm a parent myself. What we give our kids, we're responsible for feeding them, right? And what we give our kids is what they're going to eat. So don't give them a bunch of foods with high fructose corn syrup and refined sugar, because over a lifetime, it literally just damages the liver. And there's also a huge damage that occurs to the pancreas, insulin levels, and can lead to type 2 diabetes in the future. That's a whole nother talk, but processed sugar is a huge problem, and I wanted to highlight that. Okay, so what can we do to limit our exposure? We've already talked about it some. Cut out the sugary cereals. Cut out the juices that have just loads of sugar in them and really no good nutrients. Limit your exposure to toxins by not eating processed food. So processed food is anything that's essentially not really grown in the ground. So when manufacturers change food, they put a bunch of ingredients together, like cereal is processed food. Crackers can be processed food. Chips, all of like the junk foods, and even things that you don't think are junk, like, like crackers are processed foods. Hot dogs are processed food. Lunch meat is processed food. Canned and frozen foods. Again, anything that changes a food from, if you imagine just going out to your garden and picking a food, anything that changes that food into something different or freezes it, cans it, it's all processing the food. So you want to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. So, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, if you can get organic, that's going to be your best option because there's going to be less pesticides equals less toxins. Making your own foods at home. So buying a bunch of fresh produce, grass-fed meat, and then making a soup or making a casserole instead of buying something in a box or something that's frozen. And then the other thing I want to highlight on food is so when you're thinking about meat, what the animal was eating or what their conditions were matters to you. So if an animal was very, very unhealthy, we store our toxins in our fat. And so especially when you're thinking about fatty meats, if an animal was very unhealthy, raised in a very unhealthy environment, given antibiotics, given hormones, they're going to store all of those toxins in their meat, in their fat. And then when we consume that, then we're inheriting whatever they were ingesting and were subject to. So grass-fed meat is very important, especially if you can find like a local farm where you really know what the conditions are that the animals were, raised in. That's really going to be your best option. Now, another important part here that you can do very easily, and you don't have to change anything about your diet, is chewing your food. When you chew your food 20 to 30 times for each bite, I know that sounds excessive, but if you can make that a goal and you make it halfway there, I guarantee it's more than you're currently chewing. So chewing your food basically makes it that much easier for your liver to process things because everything's already been ground up some mechanically. So that is one thing that I do want to note. Again, you don't have to change your diet at all to do this. Just chew your food 20 to 30 times for each bite. And essentially you want what's in your mouth to be like a baby puree. I know that sounds a little drastic, but I promise you if you focus on doing that, you'll notice how little you actually do chew. And doing that one thing alone can help you quite a bit. Okay, another thing for food that's helpful for the liver, potassium. Potassium is kind of a natural liver cleanser. So look for foods high in potassium. Again, if we're thinking about shopping the perimeter, getting whole foods, and things that are high in potassium, you want to get things like spinach, avocado, bananas, coconut water. All of these things are high in potassium. Now, another part of liver health is glutathione. So if you don't know anything about glutathione, glutathione is produced by the liver. It's an antioxidant and it helps to detoxify us. There's actually been studies done that show that people with cancer have lower levels of glutathione. So if you want to be, think about the future or think about the big picture here, having more glutathione may actually help protect you from cancer. So how do you increase glutathione? How do you preserve glutathione? What do you do? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, if you've just joined me or you don't know me, again, I'm Dr. Haley Stevens. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. I'm not practicing in this video as a nurse practitioner. I'm just bringing information that as a mom, as a child of God, that I believe is important, is helpful, and I just want to share in hopes that it helps you or helps someone that you know. Okay, so we're talking about liver health, talking about toxic load, and supporting the liver because the liver is what detoxifies you. So increasing glutathione, how do we do this? So one thing you can do is to increase your selenium intake. Selenium is required to create glutathione. So look for foods high in selenium. Some examples of this are fresh garlic. So if you get some organic fresh garlic and you start cooking more with garlic, this is one thing that can increase selenium and therefore can increase your glutathione. Another thing that can increase selenium is Brazil nuts. These are just a type of nut. You can find them, I think even Costco has some organic Brazil nuts. They're just plain, but eating those every day can increase selenium and therefore support glutathione production. Another thing you can do is to take or eat methylation nutrients. I know that sounds like a big word, but basically methylation is one of the ways that kind of the ingredients needed for glutathione, ingredients needed to detoxify you. I won't get too far into that today because that's a topic for another day, but just know that if you support methylation, you will support your liver, increase glutathione levels, and help yourself detoxify. So ways you can do this are taking methylated vitamins. If you don't know anything about methylation or you don't know anything about MTHFR, check out my other videos about MTHFR. It's a genetic code, and then this matters with whether or not you have to take methylated B vitamins or not. But regardless of that, you can just take methylated B vitamins. So the B vitamins that support methylation are vitamin B6, pyridoxine, vitamin B9, which is folate, vitamin B12, and then biotin. And all of these, so you can find methylfolate, you can find methyl B12 as methylcobalamin, and having methylation nutrients, these B vitamins, can help support your liver. You can look for foods high in B vitamins, such as asparagus, beef liver, and there's a lot of other ones, leafy green vegetables essentially, but you can also take supplements. Always run this by your doctor if you're going to start any new supplements, but you can definitely find methylated B vitamin supplements. Talking about grass-fed liver, so strangely enough, one way that you can support your own liver is to eat the liver of a healthy animal. So again, we're going to want something grass-fed, something that was raised, in a calm environment. You don't want an animal that was stressed and, in a tiny little enclosure with a bunch of other animals crammed in it. You want something that was humane, was in a non-stressful environment, and was grass-fed. But if you eat liver, beef liver, you can help support your own liver. They also make beef liver supplements or capsules. Ancient Nutrition, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Ancient Nutrition has some. There's other companies as well, but that's another option. Another way that you can support glutathione production and then therefore support your liver is through vitamin C and vitamin E. You can find these in foods. They help recycle glutathione. Vitamin C rich foods are going to be things like orange and red peppers, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and then vitamin E rich foods are things like almonds, spinach, sunflower seeds. And there's more. Again, you can just search for this, but that's another way that you can help recycle glutathione and therefore increase your glutathione levels in your body and help your body detoxify better. Other things you can do are drinking teas. Two kind of herbs that help support glutathione in the liver are dandelion root and milk thistle. They can help flush toxins and boost glutathione. Now, anytime you're ingesting tea, you want to make sure that it's a clean source tea because tea can have toxins in it. There can be heavy metals, there can be other chemicals in tea, so you just really want to make sure that it's a clean source. Another way that you can support glutathione and support your liver is by eating whey protein. Dairy is super inflammatory, so I don't recommend using like cow's milk whey, but you can use goat whey protein. And if you don't know anything about dairy, don't worry, I've got another video on dairy, so check out my channel and listen to that video, and it will tell you all about dairy and give you some really great information that you may not have ever heard. Okay, so goat whey protein helps replenish glutathione because it boosts cysteine, which is one of the ingredients needed to make glutathione. Another way to support your liver, the next two things are supplements, and again, always talk to your doctor or medical provider before you start new supplements, but this is just information I want to give to people because it's helped me and it's helped many people, and so I just want to help you. So NAC, or N-acetylcholine, is one thing that boosts glutathione. This is something that you can find in a supplement somewhere around 200 to 500 milligrams a day, maybe 2 times a day, depending on your conditions and your lifestyle. But this in itself can feed your liver, help produce glutathione, help you detoxify. The other one is alpha lipoic acid, and this helps, or ALA, helps restore glutathione, and this can be in something with 300 to 1200 milligrams daily. Again, always check with your medical provider before starting this, but these are 2 supplements that can help increase your glutathione production and therefore support your liver. Whenever you're looking at supplements, you always want to find supplements that are clean, companies that are transparent. So some supplements, they're not guaranteeing that what is on the label is in the supplements, but if you find supplements that do guarantee this by third-party testing, which basically tests supplements for what the label says and then verifies that yes, that is what is in each pill or each capsule, that's a really great way to help make sure that a supplement is clean. You also want to make sure there's not any nasty fillers or a bunch of added sugar, especially when you're looking at kids items. So reach out to me, comment on this video if you'd like to know some clean supplement brands that I use or recommend, and I'd love to give you some examples and help you out with that. Okay, so this is going to conclude my video on liver health. I hope that this has helped you. There's, numerous other things you can do. You can do castor oil packing, which I talked about in my first video, but these are just a few ideas that I wanted to share. Again, I hope this helps you. Like this video, comment on this video, tell me things you want to hear about in the future, and I will make sure to add those into my videos. Thanks so much for joining me. God bless you all.